The sun was low in the sky. It painted the fields gold and orange. The wind moved gently across the tall grass on the edge of the farming colony. Birds flew overhead, and the quiet hum of harvest machines echoed far in the distance. It was a peaceful planet, not far from the outer human settlements. A young boy named Tom sat under a tree near the field. His hands were covered in dust, his shirt had patches, and his shoes were worn. He had just finished his chores. He liked this time of day, when everything was calm. And he could think that suddenly a soft voice came from behind him. "Did you finish fixing the little drone?" asked the girl. Tom turned and smiled. Rena was standing there, holding a small round robot with a dent in it. She looked almost human, but her skin had a soft blue tone, and her eyes shimmered like silver. Her long dark hair was tied back in a loose braid, and she wore a simple tunic like the other kids. No one on the colony minded her looks. Everyone knew her family was from a visiting alien group, peaceful traders who had decided to live among humans for a while. Tom nodded. "Yeah, I fixed the wheel. It should work now. Want to try it?" Rena smiled and placed the drone on the ground. It beeped twice, then rolled forward. It spun in circles and shot a tiny light into the air. Both kids laughed. They sat down under the tree, side by side, watching the sunset. "Tom," Rena said quietly, "do you think we'll still be friends when we're grown up?" Tom scratched his head. "Why wouldn't we?" "I don't know," she said, playing with a strand of grass. "My people don't stay in one place long. Someday, we'll leave this planet. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next year." Tom frowned. "That's not fair. I like having you here." She looked at him seriously. "If I go, will you remember me?" "Of course I will," he said quickly. "Promise, I promise." They sat in silence for a while. Then Tom said something that would stay in both their hearts forever. "You know what? When we're older, I'll marry you." Rena blinked. "You what?" Tom grinned. "Yeah, that way. We'll always be together, even if you leave now. Someday you can come back, and I'll keep my promise." Rena didn't laugh. She didn't think it was a joke. She reached out and held his hand. "Okay," she said softly. "Then it's a promise." Tom felt strange then, like he had said something very important, even though he didn't really understand what it meant. But in that moment, it felt right. The next morning, Rena was gone. Her family's ship had taken off in the middle of the night. No one in the colony knew why. Some said her people had received a sudden call from their home. Others guessed there was danger nearby and they had to leave fast. No message was left behind. Tom waited by the field for days. He sat under the same tree every evening. He looked at the sky, hoping to see her ship return. But it never did. Years passed. The field changed. New crops were planted. Machines got faster. But the tree was still there. And so was Tom. He grew up into a strong young man. He still lived in the same colony. Now he worked as a mechanic, fixing machines and vehicles. He was good at it. Everyone liked him. He was quiet, kind, and always helped others. But there was something in his heart that never went away. He still remembered her. Sometimes he walked to the old tree and sat there, thinking about that day. He remembered the sound of her voice, the way her eyes sparkled when she laughed, and, most of all, he remembered the promise, "I'll marry you." It had been just a child's words, a silly thing said under a sunset, but to him, it felt real. He had kept it in his heart like a treasure. Some people in the colony teased him when he spoke about the past. "Still waiting for your alien girl, Tom," they would say, smiling. Tom would just laugh and shake his head. But deep down, he still wondered, where was she now? One afternoon, something strange happened. A shadow passed over the colony. It was large and silent. People looked up and saw a ship, not like any human design. It was sleek and silver, shaped like a crescent moon, glowing gently in the sky. The ship slowly landed in the open field, not far from the old tree. The whole colony gathered. Men, women, and children stood in silence as the ship opened. A ramp extended down. An armored guard stepped out. Their armor shone in the sunlight, marked with bright symbols and royal colors, Behind them walked a tall, graceful figure. She wore a long flowing robe and a crown made of silver leaves. Her skin was soft blue. Her eyes still sparkled like before. It was Rena. But she was not a girl anymore. She was a queen. The crowd stood in silence as the tall alien woman walked down the ramp. Her silver robe moved like soft waves. Her head was held high, and the crown on her forehead caught the sunlight. Her guards stayed close behind her, alert and serious. Tom stood at the edge of the group. He could hardly breathe. His hands were shaking, but he didn't know why. He kept looking at her face. The woman coming toward them had changed. She was taller, older, stronger, but her eyes were the same. That soft silver glow. That same quiet strength. It was her. It was Rena. She walked slowly toward the center of the crowd. Then, to everyone's surprise, she stopped and turned her head straight toward Tom. She looked right at him. For a moment, it felt like time stopped. People began to whisper around him. They looked at Tom with curious eyes. Rena stepped forward, her voice calm and clear. "Where's Tom of the colony?" she asked. Tom raised his hand slowly. "I'm here," he said. The guards moved aside. Rena walked straight to him. She stood still just a few steps away. Her eyes searched his face. "It's really you," she said softly. "You didn't forget." Tom didn't know what to say. He blinked and gave a small nod. "I didn't forget either," Rena said. Then, to everyone's shock, she reached out her hand. "You promised to marry me. I have come to collect that promise." Gasps spread through the crowd. People looked at each other. A few even laughed nervously, unsure if this was a joke. But Rena's face was serious. Tom opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. He wasn't sure what he was feeling. Surprise, confusion, maybe even fear. He finally said, "That was a long time ago." Rena smiled gently, but not forgotten. Her voice was not demanding. It was soft, warm, full of something deeper. It wasn't about force. It was about belief, about trust. "I kept your words safe in my heart," she said. "Even when I became queen of Lyrian, I remember the promise made under a tree on this small world." Tom looked down at his hands. They were still rough from fixing machines that morning. He felt very small standing beside someone so royal. "Why? Me?" he asked. "I'm not special. I fix things. That's all. You fix more than machines." Rena said, "You fixed my loneliness when we were children. You gave me a reason to hope. You treated me like an equal when others stared at me. You saw me as a friend, not as something strange." Tom looked up at her again. "You don't have to marry me," he said gently. "Not because of a promise made by a child." "I'm not here because I must," Rena said. "I am here because I want to be." The crowd around them had grown quiet again. No one dared speak. They were witnessing something they didn't understand. A queen had come from the stars, and her heart still belonged to a simple colony boy. One of the guards stepped forward. "Your Highness," he said, bowing, "the time is short. The council awaits your return." Rena nodded once. She looked at Tom. "Will you come with me?" she asked. Tom hesitated. "Come where?" "To my world, to Lyrian, so we can talk, away from curious eyes." Tom looked at the ship. It was beautiful, bright, and strong. He thought of his small home, the tools, the machines, the quiet nights. He looked back at her. "Just to talk, for now," she said. "I will not force anything. I only want you to see my world and understand why I never forgot you." Tom took a breath and nodded slowly. "All right," he said. "I'll come with you." That night, the sky above the colony shimmered as the Lyrian royal ship rose slowly into the stars. People below talked about what they saw. Some thought it was strange. Others called it a dream. But no one could forget the image of their local mechanic walking onto a ship beside an alien queen. Inside the ship, everything was quiet and smooth. The walls glowed with soft light. The air smelled like flowers and something fresh, like a new forest after rain. Rena led Tom through long hallways. The guards followed behind, but not too close. She brought him to a wide room with a glass window that showed the stars outside. There was food on a table. Soft music played in the background. Everything was calm and peaceful. "You can rest here," Rena said. "This is your space now." Tom looked around. "This is all for me." "Yes," she said. "You are my guest." And much more. They sat down together. Rena poured a drink for him, something sweet and cool. "I want to tell you my story," she said. Tom nodded. "I want to hear it." And so, Rena spoke. She told him how her family left the colony years ago because of a call from the Lyrian Empire. Her father had been chosen to serve the royal house. She had been taken to the capital. Trained in leadership, in law, in history, her path was set. But through all the years, she said, "I never forgot the boy who held my hand and made a promise under the tree." Tom listened quietly. The stars outside moved slowly. The ship hummed like a heartbeat. "Most people forget things from childhood," Tom said. "They move on." Rena looked at him. "I didn't want to move on. I wanted to return. And now, I finally can." Tom didn't know what the future would bring. He didn't know if he was ready to be a part of her world. But in that moment, he felt something old come back to life, something warm and true. He smiled. "I'm glad you came back." The Lyrian royal ship moved smoothly through space. It was fast, quiet, and beautiful. The stars outside the large window looked like white rivers in the sky. Tom had never seen anything like it. His home was a small farming colony. This ship felt like another world. Rena walked beside him as they moved through the halls. Her robe flowed behind her like a soft cloud. Guards followed, always silent, always alert. But Rena didn't treat Tom like a guest anymore. She walked next to him, like a friend, like someone she had known all her life. "This ship is called Silver Dawn," she said. "It was made by my people 200 years ago. Only royal leaders use it now." Tom nodded. Looking around, everything was smooth and glowing. The walls had patterns like gentle waves. Let's follow their steps as they walked. He had worked on machines all his life, but nothing like this. "It's beautiful," he said quietly. Rena smiled. "I wanted you to feel comfortable. You're important to me." Tom didn't know how to reply. Every time she said something like that, he felt something strange in his chest. It wasn't fear. It wasn't pride. It was something else, something deep and quiet, like a memory returning. They entered a wide room filled with glass walls. It was like a garden, but floating in space. Strange blue flowers hung from tall silver trees. A small pond glowed in the middle. There were birds flying gently under the glass ceiling. "This is the Peace Garden," Rena said. "Only the Queen can enter. But now you can, too." Tom stepped inside slowly. He touched one of the flowers. It felt warm and soft, like silk. "Why do you still remember me?" he asked. "We were just kids." Rena sat on a stone bench near the pond. She looked at the water, then at him. "You were kind to me when others weren't. Even some adults looked at me like I was different. But you didn't care. You shared your food. You taught me how to fly your toy drone. You even said you'd marry me." Tom sat beside her. "I was just trying to make you smile." "You did," she said, "and I never forgot it." Tom looked at her. "You're a queen now. You don't need to hold on to old promises." "But I want to," Rena replied. "In my world, we don't break promises, especially ones made with the heart." Just then, a soft bell rang in the air. One of the guards entered and bowed. "Your Highness, the council is ready for the meeting," he said. Rena stood up. "I'll be back soon. Tom, you may explore the garden or rest. Ask for anything you need." Tom watched her leave. As the door closed, he looked around the garden again. It was quiet, like a dream. Later, Tom was shown to a room inside the palace. At the heart of Lyrian, the ship had arrived at the planet Lyrian Prime in Rena's large sky palace. Floated high above the clouds. The palace was built on pillars of light and crystal. Tom had never imagined such a place. His room was made with soft wood, glass, and shining silver. There was a view of floating islands outside the window. Flying creatures moved through the air, like fish in water. Lights glowed from the ground. The air smelled fresh, like rain and fruit. Tom stood at the window, still trying to believe what he was seeing. Suddenly, a soft voice came from behind him. "You like it here?" Rena asked. Tom turned. It's like a storybook. I wanted to show you my life, she said, so you understand who I became. Tom nodded. You've grown into someone powerful. But you're still you? She looked at him with soft eyes. Not everyone believes I should be close to a human. Tom looked confused. Why? Some in the council think humans are too simple. They don't understand your world, your people. They think I should choose a mate from my own kind. Tom felt a small pain in his chest. Then why bring me here? Because I decide for myself, she said, and I still believe in you. Tom sat down on the bench in the corner. But I'm not like you. I don't wear crowns or speak to councils. I fix broken parts and clean old tools. I don't belong in a place like this. Rena walked over and sat beside him. You belong where your heart is true, and yours has always been strong. Tom looked into her eyes. Are you sure this isn't a mistake? I waited for many years to find you again, she said. If it was a mistake, I would have let the past go. But I didn't. Just then, the door opened again. Another voice spoke, deeper, older. Your Highness, said a tall, leering man in formal clothing. He had long silver hair and serious eyes. May I speak with you? Rena stood up. Of course. The man gave a short glance at Tom, then spoke with a cold voice. The council has concerns. They feel your human guest is a distraction. He is not a distraction, Rena said firmly. He is not leering, the man said. He does not understand our way. He cannot lead beside you. Tom stood slowly. I'm not here to take power. I'm only here because Rena asked me. The man looked at Tom with sharp eyes. Exactly. That is what worries the council. Rena stepped between them. That's enough. The man gave a small bow. As you command. He left the room. The door closed again. Tom sighed. I don't want to cause trouble for you. You're not, Rena said. They fear what they don't know, but they will learn. Tom walked back to the window. The floating islands were still glowing outside. In that moment, he felt small again, like the boy under the tree. But he also felt something else. He wasn't alone. Rena stood beside him. Not as a queen, not as a stranger, but as someone who still remembered the promise between two young hearts. The next morning, Tom woke up early. The sky outside his window was full of soft golden clouds. Floating islands moved slowly in the light. The leering palace above the clouds looked quiet. But Tom could feel something heavy in the air. Something had changed. He washed his face and stepped into the hallway. Two royal guards were standing outside his door. They nodded politely but said nothing. One of them guided him down a shining path toward a small dining room. Rena was already there, waiting. She smiled when she saw him. Good morning, Tom. Good morning, he replied as he sat down. The table was filled with strange but delicious-looking food. Sweet fruits, soft breads, and blue tea in clear cups. They ate in silence for a while. Then Tom asked, Is something wrong? Rena's smile faded a little. The council had a long meeting last night. About me? Yes, she said. Softly, some believe I should not bring a human into royal matters. They fear the people won't accept it. Tom lowered his eyes. I don't want to be a problem. You're not, Rena said quickly. You are my choice. They just don't understand. Tom looked up. What if they never do? Rena paused. Then I will show them, slowly, with time. I don't give up easily. Tom gave a small smile. You were always strong, even when we were kids. She laughed gently. And you were always stubborn. They shared a warm look. But the moment didn't last long. A voice came from the hallway. One of the council members, the same older man from yesterday, stepped inside. Your Highness, he said with a bow. May I speak to you in private? Rena stood. Whatever you wanted to say. You can say it here. The man gave a respectful nod but looked serious. There are voices rising among the outer houses. Some fear that if you choose to bond with a human, it may weaken the royal bloodline. Tom felt his heart sink. Rena's voice stayed calm. And yet my decision remains unchanged. The man continued, There are rumors. Some say the human was brought here under a childhood promise, that it is not love, but a game of memory. Tom stood slowly. It wasn't a game. The man looked at him. Then tell us what makes you worthy of her. Tom looked at Rena, then back at the councilman. I don't come from a rich world. I don't wear fine clothes or give speeches. But I know what a promise means. I know how to fix things, how to build, how to work hard. And I care about her, not because she's a queen, but because she was my friend before anyone knew her name. The councilman stayed quiet for a moment. Then he gave a slow nod. I hope your heart is as honest as your words, he said, because if it is not, the people will not forgive it. He turned and left. Rena walked over and placed her hand on Tom's shoulder. I'm sorry you had to hear that, she said, but I'm proud of what you said. Tom let out a breath. I didn't come here to rule anything. I came because of you, and that's why I trust you, she said. Later that day, Rena took Tom to the Hall of Stars. It was a huge room inside the palace with windows that looked out into space. The floor was black stone with silver lines that showed the paths of Lyrian ships across the galaxy. Let's move slowly across the surface like stars. This is where royal partners are announced, Rena said. Tom looked around. It's beautiful, but it's also a place of truth, she added. If I declare my bond with you here, it will be official. There is no going back. Tom felt the weight of her words. Are you sure you want to do that? Rena turned to him. I'm not afraid of the council. I'm not afraid of tradition. I only want to know one thing. What is it? He asked. Do you still mean the words you said under that tree? She asked quietly. Tom looked into her eyes. The same soft silver glow was still there. The same kindness. The same girl he once promised to marry under a sunset sky. Yes, he said. I didn't forget. And I meant every word. Rena smiled. Then I will speak your name in the hall. That night, Tom stood on a balcony overlooking the city of Lyrian. Lights floated in the air. Ships moved silently across the sky. Music from distant towers echoed softly through the wind. He felt someone beside him. Enjoying the view, Rena asked. It's hard to believe all of this is real, he said. You've seen only a part of it, she replied. There is much more. Tom turned to her. I keep thinking about what that councilman said. Don't, she said. You showed more strength in one moment than many of them show in a lifetime. But I'm still just me, and that's what makes you special, Rena said. You didn't change, even when everything around you did. Tom looked at the stars. I'm not afraid. Rena, I just don't want to let you down. You won't, she said, taking his hand. We'll face it all together. As they stood there under the stars, Tom realized something important. He wasn't just part of a memory anymore. He was part of Rena's life, and maybe even her future. He still didn't know what the next day would bring. But one thing was clear. He was ready to keep his promise. The next day was bright and clear. The sun shone through the palace windows, lighting the silver walls with warm gold. Tom felt nervous. Today was important. The council would meet again. Rena would speak about their promise and what it meant. But before the meeting could begin, alarms rang throughout the palace. Red lights flashed. The soft hum of the ship and palace was replaced by a loud warning. Intruders. A guard said quickly, They have entered the palace. Tom's heart raced. He looked at Rena. Her face was calm but serious. Stay close, she said. The guards moved swiftly through the hallways. Tom followed behind, trying to keep up. The palace was huge, with many rooms and shining halls. It was hard to know where danger was coming from. Rena stopped in front of a large door. This way, she said. Inside was a control room filled with screens and glowing buttons. A few guards were already there. One of them pointed to the main screen. Enemy ships are approaching, he said. They want to stop the union between you and the human. Tom looked at the screen. Small ships of dark colors moved fast. Through space, they fired glowing beams at the palace shields. Rena frowned. They feared change. They want to keep the old ways. Tom clenched his fists. Can I help? One of the guards looked at him with surprise. You are not trained for this. I'm good with machines, Tom said. Let me try. Rena nodded. Do what you can. Tom moved to a console and started pressing buttons. The controls were strange but similar to machines he knew. He remembered how to fix broken things and how to work fast under pressure. He focused. His hands moved quickly over the buttons and screens. He repaired damaged circuits. He adjusted shield power. Slowly, the palace defenses grew stronger. Outside, the enemy ships kept attacking, but the shields held. The palace did not fall. Rena watched Tom with respect. "You're braver than I thought." Tom smiled tiredly. "I just want to protect you." And all of this, suddenly, one of the enemy ships broke through the shield. It moved fast toward the palace core. Tom saw it on the screen. He acted quickly. He found the damaged area and sent extra power to the emergency locks. The doors slammed shut just in time. The enemy ship could not get inside. The alarm stopped ringing. The red lights went off. The palace was safe. After the attack, the palace was quiet again. Guards walked carefully in the halls. Rena and Tom went to the main hall where the council waited. The council members looked at Tom with new eyes. Some nodded in respect. Others still looked doubtful. Rena stood in front of them. "Today we saw courage from unexpected places. Tom helped save our home." A council elder spoke. "The human has shown skill and bravery, but marriage is more than courage." Rena nodded. "I know. It is about trust and love." Tom stepped forward. "I may not be like you, but I'm ready to learn and to stand by Rena." The council was silent for a moment. Then the elders said, "We will allow the union, but Tom must learn our ways and live among us." Tom looked at Rena. She smiled. "I will teach him," she said. That evening, Tom walked in the palace gardens with Rena. The stars were bright. The air smelled of flowers and fresh rain. Tom felt tired but happy. "You changed their minds," he said. "No," Rena said. "You changed their minds." Tom laughed. "I was just fixing machines. You were protecting more than machines. You protected hope." Tom looked at her. "I want to be worthy of you." "You are," she said softly, "because you are true." They sat on a bench. Tom reached out and held her hand. For the first time, the promise made under a tree years ago felt real, stronger than ever. The day of the ceremony arrived with a clear sky and soft sunlight. The palace was decorated with glowing flowers and shining ribbons. People from all over Lyrian had come to watch. They waited to see if the promise from long ago would finally be kept. Tom woke early. He stood by the window of his room and looked at the city below. The floating islands were busy with light and movement. Music floated softly through the air. It was beautiful, but Tom felt nervous. He wasn't sure if he belonged here, among queens and nobles. Rena knocked on his door. She smiled and wore a simple white robe with silver embroidery. Her crown was smaller today, more delicate than usual. "Are you ready?" she asked. Tom nodded. "I think so." They walked together through the halls. Guards bowed as they passed. People whispered. Some looked at Tom with surprise, others with doubt. They reached the Hall of Stars, a great room with windows that showed the whole sky. Light from the stars filled the space. The floor was polished black stone with silver lines that shine like rivers. Rena took Tom's hand and led him to the center. The council was waiting. Their faces were serious. Some eyes were cold. The eldest council member stepped forward. "Your Highness," he said to Rena, "before the ceremony, we offer you one last chance. Reject this human. Choose one of your own kind. Protect our people's future." Rena looked at the council with calm eyes. "I will not reject him," she said clearly. The room was silent. Some gasped, others murmured in disbelief. Tom felt his heart beat fast. He looked at Rena. Her face was strong and sure. "Why?" asked the elder. "Because I trust him," she said. "Because he is honest and kind. Because he kept a promise that mattered." The elder frowned. "It is not only about you. It is about the empire. And I am the queen," Rena said. "I decide what is best." Tom took a deep breath. "I'm not from this place," he said, "but I am here because I promised. And I want to be worthy of that promise." Rena squeezed his hand. The council was quiet again. Then the eldest elder nodded slowly. "So be it," he said. "The ceremony may begin." The ceremony was simple but beautiful. Rena and Tom stood under a dome of crystal light. The stars above shone clearly. The people watched quietly. A priest spoke words of promise and honor. Rena and Tom repeated their vows, simple but full of meaning. Tom promised to stand by Rena, to learn and to grow. Rena promised to trust and to lead with him. When the vows ended, a soft light surrounded them. The crystal dome glowed warmly. The crowd cheered quietly. For the first time, a human and an alien queen were united in marriage. After the ceremony, many people came to congratulate them. Some smiled with hope, others still looked unsure. Rena took Tom's hand. "Thank you for standing with me," she said. Tom smiled. "Thank you for believing in me." That night, they stood on a balcony. The stars shone brightly. The city below was calm and peaceful. Rena leaned on Tom's shoulder. "This is only the beginning," she said. Tom looked up at the sky. "I'm ready for whatever comes next." The morning after the ceremony was calm and quiet. The city of Lyrian woke slowly under soft sunlight. Tom and Rena stood together on the balcony of the palace, looking over the floating islands and glowing lights below. The promise made long ago felt real now. It was no longer just words between children. It was a bond between two people from different worlds. Tom smiled and took Rena's hand. "I never thought my life would change like this," he said. Rena looked at him with gentle eyes. "Neither did I, but I am glad it did." They spent the morning walking through the palace halls. Tom was still learning the ways of the Lyrian people. The palace was filled with music, laughter, and soft voices. For the first time, Tom felt he could belong here. Later, Rena took Tom to the palace workshop. It was a large room filled with tools and machines unlike any he had seen. Strange devices floated in the air. Soft light showed blueprints of ships and machines. "This is where I work when I need peace," Rena said. Tom smiled. "It feels like home." Rena nodded. "I want you to feel that way. You bring something special here." Tom began helping with small repairs. He fixed a broken light panel and adjusted a control device. The palace workers looked at him with surprise and respect. "You are learning fast," one said. Tom laughed. "I just like to fix things." As days passed, Tom and Rena grew closer. They shared stories of their childhood and dreams of the future. Tom told her about the simple life on his home planet. Rena shared tales of the Lyrian Empire, its history, and its people. One evening, they sat together in the Peace Garden. The blue flowers glowed softly under the stars. "I never forgot the promise you made," Rena said. "It gave me hope when I felt lost." Tom squeezed her hand. "I kept my promise too, even when it was hard." Rena smiled. "Promises are powerful when hearts are true." Tom looked at the stars and thought about the journey they had taken, from children playing in fields to a queen and her mechanics standing together in a palace above the clouds. He realized something important. It wasn't about power or titles. It was about trust, kindness, and keeping promises. The future was unknown. There would be challenges ahead, but with Rena by his side, Tom felt ready for anything. Together, they would build a new path, one where two worlds could come together in peace and hope. The promise made under a tree years ago had become a bridge between stars. And this was only the beginning. End of story.